Good afternoon, everyone. I'm GoLocal Live contributor Chelsea Gay, here live in our downtown Providence studio. We're going to be talking lifestyle this week, what is happening in Rhode Island, and we're kind of hoping for spring, I think, even though we just got another dumping of snow. But we're going to talk about some fun spring stuff today, spring home sales, spring fashion, and spring art. So hopefully that'll keep us a little bit warm as we keep going through this freezing March weather. So my first guest today is Sally Lapides, President and CEO of Residential Properties Limited over here in Providence. Sally, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so we were just discussing last week on the phone how the spring market has kicked off a little bit early because it's been a little warm, but I think we jinxed it because then we got dumped with snow.
Yes,
so.
that is true. That is true.
What are you going to do?
But the spring market did start early. I mean, everybody thinks that the spring market starts on April 1st. It does not. If there's no snow, then we get the spring market on January 2nd.
Okay. So before we get into kind of all the details of the spring market, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and about residential properties and kind of what you guys do over there.
So I started residential properties in 1981, and I know I don't look that old, right?
No.
Okay. And I started it with 6 brokers. We are now almost 200 brokers. We have 6 offices around the state, and we're the #1 real estate company in the state, both in dollar volume and the number of sales that we do.
Okay.
So I'm pretty proud of that.
Excellent. And was the kind of the start in Providence? Was that the first?
The start was in Providence.
Okay.
And we then grew, and we do a lot of relocation. And when you do a lot of relocation, you have to have offices in and around the state, and so we do.
Okay, so let's talk about the housing market over this past year in Rhode Island.
Yes.
Any trends that you're seeing? What was the kind of census of the market in general?
So in general, the interest rates stayed low. They were up a tiny bit from the year before, but they were low. There was more job security than we've seen in the past, and overall the market was really strong. Inventory was low, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, inventory was low.
That.
So in many, many areas, people waited for the right house to come on, and when it finally came on, they ended up being in a bidding war, which was not a good thing.
Not great. And so when inventory is low, is that generally because people are happy just kind of hanging on to the property they have? Does it have anything to do with people aren't retiring yet? I mean, what's the reason for that?
Well, you know, I think that when inventory is low, it means that people are just happy with where they are. And
that's not a bad thing.
Right, that's not a bad thing. And, you know, the days of everybody buying a starter home and a middle home and an ending home and then are over. People buy often just one home and stay there for a long time. So the inventory was just down because people were pretty satisfied with where they are.
Not the worst thing.
No.
Not the best thing, I guess, for realtors. But
no, it's not. It's not. But it's a reason why people are pretty happy with what's going on in Rhode Island right now. So that's a good sign.
That's a good sign. And so we're hitting the spring market, and now why is spring such a known time for home sales?
Well, if you live in an area that is school driven, spring is really important because people want to show it in April and May, close in June or July, and be there for their children to start in the school system. If you're in the city, the spring market just happens 12 months a year. It is not driven by the school year. So people are coming and going in and out of the city, and it's always hot actually in Providence. Yeah.
Doesn't really have a seasonal market in the city.
It really doesn't. But more inventory comes on as of April 1st because a lot of people say, I don't want anybody in my house when there's snow on the ground and crummy weather and my yard doesn't look good. But I always have a theory. If you have a small yard, put your house on the market in the winter. People are too cold to go outside and notice
Check out your yard, right. I can be here. It's very homey.
Right,
exactly. You don't want to go out in the yard anyway.
Exactly, that is so true.
So if inventory is still low, I mean, this must be, if you're thinking about putting your house on the market, it's a good time to do it.
It is.
And so if you are one of those people thinking about putting your house on the market right about now or putting it on the market, you're lucky because the inventory's low, but if your house maybe isn't as spruced up as it could be, what are some things that sellers can do to better prepare themselves for
All right.
putting their house on the market?
So one of the things that we all get used to in our own homes is clutter. And what I always say to people is look at any architectural digest or any magazine that is selling home furnishings, and what you see is almost nothing in the photographs.
Yeah.
And so what you need to do is walk around your house and get rid of everything you can't live with. Pack it away, give it away, do whatever you want. As I always say to people, keep the memory, get rid of the thing. So you have to do that. People don't like dark
Doesn't
rooms.
spark joy. What does that mean?
That's
Yeah.
right, exactly. You know, people don't like dark rooms anymore. People like light and bright and the hardwood floors. And so if you have a house full of wall-to-wall carpeting, take it out in one room, sand and polyurethane the floor. It'll make a difference so that a buyer comes in and says, oh, these floors are gorgeous, and I have allergies, or whatever they say. I don't like
Absolutely.
carpeting. So, but get rid of all the clutter. Get rid of all those little small appliances you have all over the countertops.
Just move towards me a little bit.
Make sure that you paint any chipped paint. Make your front door look new and shiny. If it's the springtime and there's no snow, put pots of flowers out there. Get your spring cleanup done. So there are lots of things that you can do to make the photographs really beautiful. And the truth is, 95% of all people start looking for real estate online. So if that is not a beautiful picture of your home, they're going to click right to the next one. They really are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. It's creating the image of a home that people want to live in.
They do.
And so when you're a buyer in this market, you know, because the inventory is low, maybe it'll go up a little bit in the spring. How flexible do you need to be as a buyer? Can you negotiate a little bit? I mean, what's your advice for buyers coming into this market? Should they be kind of going in at an asking price, or?
Well, I think that the first thing that a buyer needs to do is make sure that they are represented. So they need a buyer's broker.
Yeah.
They need a relationship with somebody who is going to say to them, the house next door sold for this price, the house across the street sold for this price, this is where I would come in. Now, if it is in a price range that is highly desirable and there are a lot of buyers for it, you are very likely going to pay the asking price or more than the asking price. And you just need to make sure that you are represented by somebody who is really good at negotiating, because at the end of the day, you have to have them represent you so that you can get the house that you want.
Absolutely. And so I know you said Providence is not necessarily a spring market all year round.
Yep.
You know, houses are
Yep.
buying and selling. Are there any markets that surprised you this year in Rhode Island? Any cities that sort of spiked in terms of home sales and purchases? Anything that's becoming hot that maybe wasn't?
Well, all parts of Providence got really hot. The west side, the east side, so they are hot. And there's a very artistic community that comes in to the west end and the west side of Providence. So that market never surprises me. It's always a really strong market. Yeah. The thing that surprises me every single year is that of all the communities, and we do business in every community, in all the communities, Barrington starts first. I'm never sure why.
Barrington
I always
gets hot.
find it. Barrington gets hot before every other community.
Interesting.
So it's interesting. I don't know if it's because there's so much water there and people start to envision a spring or a summer on the water, or if it's the school system that drives it. But I'm always amazed that community just gets hot faster than everybody else.
It is nice. Yeah. And you know, Warren is picking up too. There's
Warren,
a lot going on in Warren.
Warren is great. Yeah. It's amazing. I was in Warren today. And Warren is great. And then the coastal communities get busier and busier as the beautiful weather happens, and people start to envision themselves in in the breakers.
Oh, absolutely. I know.
Right.
Envision yourself there.
Envision,
If
right.
you can get there, God bless you.
That's right,
But yeah,
exactly.
we like Watch Hill. You know, you want to get that beach house.
They're beautiful communities. We are so lucky to be in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
We truly are.
I know. We
Yeah.
are lucky. And so, how about trends in real estate as a whole? I mean, in terms of anything that we're noticing this year with marketing, or
Sure.
what's happening?
So marketing has changed dramatically over the last 10 years in real estate. It used to be that we were dependent on the newspaper and every ad read the same.
Yeah.
3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. That was it. But now marketing is different. And one of the things I like to say about our company is we have a residential properties advantage. We have 3 full-time videographers who do video and tell storytelling about houses, which is an incredibly unusual thing throughout our whole country to be able to do it. So if you went on to residentialproperties.com and went to our videos, you'd see the stories that we tell about the houses.
Right.
And I do all the voiceovers.
Oh.
I've done over 2,000 voiceovers.
Excellent.
So
There you
it's-
go.
it's
So you're
great.
getting famous.
I
in
am
the
really famous. in
video
the
housing market.
That's right. That's right. But that's changed dramatically. And I think that for people who have not sold their house in a long time, we do staging, which was never
Very
popular.
helpful, yeah.
Very helpful. We have floor plans. We make it easier for the buyer to imagine their own furnishings in the home.
Yeah, that's tough to do. Any properties that come to mind in terms of anything really interesting, historic that's been on the market lately with you guys, or any really cool homes?
Well, we have pretty beautiful homes. We are responsible for selling the largest 3 estates that were on the east side. They were all on acre plus land, and nobody wants those
Aw.
huge houses with all that land. I mean, it's
Somebody
too
will
expensive.
eventually.
So what they all did is the houses sold separately and the land sold separately.
Broke
and
it up.
They broke it up, and I think that happens often in cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we did. We just had the Providence Historical Society on, and I'm just wondering, personally, as a starting in Providence,
Yes.
what is your opinion on people not restoring the homes that are here and turning them into other things? Are you?
Oh, it breaks my heart. I love restoration.
I know.
So, I believe strongly that you can, if you know what you're doing and you get good advice, you can restore a house for the same as you would do something that was not historically correct. So we have found that everyone who seems to buy historic houses, we recommend that they go to the Providence Preservation Society.
Yeah.
They get great advice, and you're really able to replace those windows that were vinyl sided
Yeah.
to with historic windows, and it doesn't break the bank, and it makes a huge difference. We have to take care of these properties.
You own a piece of history.
You do.
I mean, it's
You
pretty
do.
exciting.
And it's half of the reason why people come to this state. They
Yeah.
love our architecture. We've restored it beautifully, and it deserves to be noticed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so for any, first-time home buyers coming out in this spring market, what would your advice be for them on sort of where to start and what the best first step is to take to home
Sure.
buying?
Well, I think you start online. That's the first thing you do. And you look at all the pictures, and so you're doing a lot of self-selecting. Then do some driving around. Make sure you find a realtor that you feel comfortable with, because frankly, you're going to spend the next 3 months with your broker.
If not more.
If not longer. So you really need to know and trust your broker. And then just go to open houses and say you're working with your broker so that you're protected, and make sure that you start to get a feel for what the market is. So when the right house comes up, you are prepared to make an offer that
You're
could
ready
be
to
accepted.
go.
You are.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, Sally, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
And
you so much for having
at
me.
the kickoff, hopefully it gets a little bit warmer in the coming weeks. And for anybody out there who's on the residential properties site, if you recognize her voice, it's because she's voiceover on all the videos. And
Thank
so
you.
if anybody wants to get in touch with you or anyone
Yes.
on your team, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best way is to either call any of our offices, all those numbers are online,
Okay.
or reach out to any broker, read the bios of all the brokers. You'll be able to find yourself, it's like a blind date. You can go find
You
somebody.
should do
you
that.
can work
Residential
with.
properties speed dating.
That's right. So that's how I would do it.
Excellent. Well,
All
Sally,
right.
thank you for joining us
Thank
today.
you so much.
And we'll be right back. We are going to talk about an art opening at the Providence Art Club in just a few minutes.